Hey friends, we are in chapter 7, if you can believe it. And today I just want to touch on something that I think all moms need, and that's permission. You need permission. You need to give yourself permission for some times of refreshments. In this chapter it's called when you want to run and hide, and I have been feeling that deep within my heart, even recently, as the needs of my family completely outweigh what I'm willing and able to give to them. And it's just super normal to have that feeling of wanting to run away. The key for us as moms as we move forward in hope is to get into the habit of not running away from our calling, but running towards Jesus. That's what we would love to do as moms, is not to have that overwhelmed feeling where we feel like we've got to escape, but that we're running to something. It affected me profoundly years ago when I began to understand that Jesus realized and understood and even could sympathize with my weariness as a mom. Jesus did life with 12 men. And they were needy and they were immature. Now, they weren't children, but there are several instances in Scripture where we see them fussing at each other and fighting, and they rarely got many of the hard messages that Jesus was trying to teach them. He did life with them for 3 solid years, and they were needy. And we see Jesus in the midst of that also ministering to the masses, the crowds, the people. And so every day he had people pushing on him and touching him and reaching for him and needing what he could give. And so he got weary. He was fully human, you remember. And at the same time, he was fully God. And so we know that he felt tired. He felt weary. And what did Jesus do? Well, in Luke 5:16, it tells us that Jesus often withdrew. He pulled away and he went to the wilderness to pray and to meet with his Father, because that was the source of his strength. That's where he got his instructions from the Lord as to what he was supposed to be doing. And that is where he gained that strength to keep going. So Jesus, one of the things he did was he often withdrew. And so I think as moms, we need to see that as a pattern for us as well. Are you withdrawing often? And by that, you may have to get creative. Maybe you need to have a special place in your house, and you can tell your children or train your children to say, when mommy is sitting here, for me it's a big red chair in my living room. When I'm sitting here, I'm meeting with the Lord. And typically that happens before they wake up, but sometimes I have to have that time with the Lord when they're up. And so I just very gently tell them, if they happen to wake up early some morning and I'm still sitting in that chair, hey, mommy's having some time with Jesus right now. I really need this time. You can sit over there with a book over on the other chair, but just wait for mommy and let me finish my time here. And so my kids know that when I'm sitting there, that for the most part, I am meeting with the Lord and I'm withdrawing with him to gain that encouragement and strength that I need. But we also see something else that Jesus did. And as he was working with the disciples and he was training them, we see him taking them away for times of refreshment. In Mark 6:31 through 32, he says to them, "Come away with me by yourselves to a desolate place and rest for a while." For they were coming and going, and the disciples didn't even have time to eat. Now, doesn't that sound like your Wednesday, or last Friday, when you were so busy and you were doing stuff for your kids, and you were running back and forth, you were driving your kids all over town, or you were taking care of their needs, that maybe you didn't even have time to eat a healthy lunch? That's the kind of ministry that Jesus was doing. He was training his disciples to do. And so he said to them, he invited them, he said, "Come away with me. Come to a desolate place. Come to a place where you can be refreshed and you can eat and you can be encouraged," and just that he could minister to them by themselves. I think this is also something that we need to consider, and that we need to give ourselves permissions as moms to get away for extended time away from our kids. Now, that might be a weekly Bible study. Maybe you have a Bible study at your church where they have free childcare and you can go once a week. I hope and pray that that's available to you. Maybe you have a MOPS group that meets once a month and you get to go and hear from encouraging speakers and just have great time around the table with other moms in your station of life. But also, I think it's great when you can get away for an overnight, a weekend, if your church has anything, or I know different organizations have that for moms as well, where you can have like a mom's night out or a day off, when you can make sure that your kids are well taken care of, and you can just step out of that box for just 24 hours makes all the difference in the world. In the back of the book, on page 196, I have an extra kind of thing in the appendix. Both Brooke and I put some of our favorite blog posts in the back of the book. I don't know if you've checked that out, but in the new version of the book, you get so much more than we were able to give you in the other book. But there's one of the blog posts that I wrote, and it's called "What a Mama Needs," and in that blog post, I talked about that a mama needs to go. Because here's the thing, sometimes we have to go to be refreshed and encouraged. Because unless a mom finds bread for herself, she's not going to have anything to give to her children. And so she has to have some times of refreshment, some times where she slips away and gets some bread for herself. And we need to remember that Jesus said, I am the bread of life. So Mom, I just want to encourage you. I want to give you permission today. Be intentional. Run to Jesus every day. Every day run to Him. Pour your heart out to Him. Tell Him what you need and watch Him fill you up. And when you can do it, plan for times of refreshment that are a little bit longer. Maybe it's just a couple hours every week. Maybe it's a couple hours a month. But try to see if there's any way that you can get away for an extended time, overnight or for a weekend. And I guarantee you that it will be life for your soul. And I promise your kids will be fine. They'll be fine. And they'll actually thank you for going in the end, because they'll see when you return that you return a filled up, encouraged mom who can be fully engaged with them. And moms, I just want you to know that we love you, that we're praying for you. Hey, hit reply on this email. We'd love to hear from you, how God is speaking to you through this book study. Thanks so much for being with us, and we look forward to checking in with you next time for the next chapter. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.